Right, we next move on to Raza Beig, the CEO of Splash Landmark Group. Since the inception of Splash, Raza has been involved in almost every aspect of the business, from buying to visual merchandising, budgeting, and retail operations. His approach facilitated the initial days of the group's entry into a new market, and before he knew it, he was made a board member in charge of the fashion division of the group. Today, we learn about his transformation from a man behind the brand Splash. Please welcome Raza Beig.
I'm a 55-year-old man, and people know me as the custodian of Splash. People who know me personally, they know me as a kind, generous, hardworking, passionate executive. But they remember me as a party animal, a party starter, something which I'm really not very proud about because I've done a lot more, but it seems that that space occupies that mind. At COVID, I had the time and attention to deep dive and look into my life because this was the first time in my life I was not chasing anything. I was at a standstill and I evaluated my life. Today, post-COVID, I'm a very different man. And this is my story. When I look back at my life, I've had, fortunately or unfortunately, 4 phases, almost between 13 and 14 years of my life. And every journey was interesting and disturbed at the end of it. So my first phase as a child was with a lot of love, care, attention. I was very naughty. I got whatever I wanted. Life was really good. But by the end of it, unfortunately, or fortunately, it became a little difficult because after my father passed away, I had to do something with my own life. And at the early age of 13, I ventured out to do something in life. And the survivor came alive. This was a phase of life where I was finding myself. I was trying to do many odd, small things, anything which would help my mom. And in that space, somewhere the entrepreneur was born. I was not even aware of it. And at a very early age, I was able to create 3 different businesses. And I did fairly well with it. As a teacher, that's where I started from. Went into a garment manufacturing business. That's where probably I understood the business of fashion, more so quality. And the third space is where I went into entertainment, and we pulled cables into people's homes and provided entertainment. At the age of 26, for personal reasons, and there was a little disruption in my life, I decided to start afresh, and that's where my journey with Splash started. That was the introduction with Renuka and Mickey, and I have been very fortunate to have 2 amazing mentors. Mickey, who had the most amazing vision of retail and customer understanding, and Renuka, who had a fabulous process-driven, controlled system, which she actually gave me and created the structure in my life. I have been very fortunate to work for people who gave me unconditional support and let me do exactly what I wanted to do when I was starting this brand. It was Renuka's business, and I was his sidekick. The few things which I really, or the foundations of the brand Splash was clearly 3-4 very simple pillars. One, of course, being people, second being product, consumer, and a retail experience. These were the 4 areas where I really specialized in. Of course, there are many other facets of retail, but these were the 4 areas where I really focused on. And I will talk, I know there's a limitation of time, so I think so the one which really stayed with me in my formative years was how important people were. For when we started the brand Splash, we were just 9 executives, probably 11 with me and a driver. And it was a 14,000 square foot store. And we all probably came to the business with the intention of probably creating a base and then moving on. When I joined the business of retail, it took me a few days to realize that I love this business. And therefore, I went on and tried to create that same spirit in my colleagues. Of the 9 colleagues, 4 of us stayed back and grew to new heights in the organization. Myself taking the leadership role in a few years. One of my colleagues was the head of retail. Another one went to set up Saudi Arabia. And one went to become the first VM manager. In this, I realized that how important people were. And all through my journey, when I was walking through and creating this brand, I was constantly guided by Mickey and Renuka. Mickey used to give us these small formulas, which I used to dwell on, and that's where all my strategies probably came from. The second teacher I had probably was all the competition which was setting foot in Middle East. They were all ahead of us. They were all established brands, and they were probably my best teachers because they taught me how to go about looking at the finer details in retail. And the third, of course, was my customer. I thoroughly enjoyed being on the retail floor and speaking to customers. In fact, I usually used to go and service a customer to ensure that I can speak to them. The second phase of mine was probably the most interesting because there was a lot of growth, opportunity. There was constant learning. There was not a boring day in my life for those 12, 13 years. One of the customer conversations when I had with them, and they said that they love Splash, she said that she goes to Egypt and takes a suitcase full of product for her family. But somewhere her colleagues looked down upon her when she wore Splash. That was a statement which I took back, and that's where the journey of brand building happened. And that's where I said we need to go back and let people know that Splash creates fashion. Splash is a brand not only for great value, but it is a product which anyone would wear and feel good. But that instruction somewhere, I got lost in that because as I went into that journey of marketing and branding, and came a lot of sidekicks with it, and I got a little lost. I got lost because I somehow got into the whole social circle of fashion. And in that space, somewhere the focus got a little shifted. In the social circle, there was a lot of new things were happening, new brands were being created, new portfolios being taken on. And I think so, in that third phase of my life, probably I had the maximum growth in the brand Splash, the best P&Ls in those years. But somewhere, personally, I had lost myself in this whole journey of growth, opportunity, and profits. The third phase of my life, which I do believe was probably the most aggressive part of it, in this space, I've sadly to say, but I lost myself in this whole environment. and somewhere started to live the socials in the social fabric. And it was only COVID, when I had my time to myself, I realized that the most important thing in my life, which was myself, my health, my family, my work, somewhere I lost myself. In the last 2 years, I made some dramatic changes in my personal life. I went back to become what I was when I joined Splash at the age of 26. I got my health back when, post-COVID, when we opened our stores, I had lost 20 kgs. My energy was back, and I refocused on the 4 pillars which Raza was very, very confident about, which was the product, the customer journey, the customer, and of course, the people. I do know, I'm sorry, am I on time? Yeah. I do know that today I have set myself a little apart from what I used to do. Reason being, I do realize that in this whole process of growth and opportunity, don't lose yourself. We do tend to do that. And we tend to get influenced. And I think so somewhere the social media and all these confusions which are coming up make it worse. I am today in a space where I believe the brand Splash is on a very sound footing. We have gone back and revisited all our strong pillars and rebuilt them in many, many places. And I'm sorry, I'm a little emotional just now because I spoke about my personal weakness, but that is the truth. And sometimes we as executives tend to take on a lot more than what we can handle. We tend to be a part of a social fabric which sometimes neglects your own personality, your health. And I know that we as executives at some stage, all of us will fade, but we need our brands to live forever. That is my path, and in 55 years, in my 4 journeys, today I feel I'm on the next path, and hopefully, if you do visit the Splash stores, you will see, I'm hoping that you will see the change. With that, I would like to thank you for listening to me. God bless. Thank you, MRF. Thank you, Amitabh. Thank you, Shruti. I was actually going to speak something else, but Shruti said, no, we want to hear about your journey. So I've changed that, but thank you for listening to me. All the best.